So now that you know what the AI is, and you also know how to calculate your AI with and without a test score, it's time to go really deep into the AI system. And I think this can be some important context for you to truly understand what this is used for, how it's used, and how you, as one of those student athletes who has an AI and is in this system, can stand to benefit or lose from it. So, each Ivy League school calculates an average for their student body by taking every individual student's AI and then adding them up and then dividing by the total number of students at the school. From this average of each Ivy League school, the Ivy League has decided that the average of all recruited student athletes, meaning all student athletes who have received a support slot, so have received help with admission into that Ivy League school, the average of all recruited student athletes at that school must fall within a certain standard deviation from the average of all students at that school. More or less, what that means is an Ivy League school can't just take whoever they want as athletes because they want to win. The average for the entire athletic department of all recruited athletes has to be in some range of the average of the whole university. I don't know exactly what that distance is from the average of the student body. I don't believe that's published information, but more or less I can take a guess that it's got to be about within 15 points, meaning the average student athlete would need to be within about 15 points of the average student at each university. So there is some variation of average AI across the Ivy League, but there's not very much, to be honest, because the average AI at Harvard, Princeton, Yale, which are typically considered the very tippy top of the Ivy League, it's going to be very similar to the rest of the Ivy League schools because realistically, they're all exceptionally difficult to get into, and they're all have exceptionally high caliber student bodies. Now, the purpose for the lower AI for the student athletes is that the Ivy League is Division One, and that's an incredibly high level of competition. And there simply aren't enough student athletes who are good enough to compete at the Division One level who have 4.0 GPAs and 1600 SATs, right? There just simply aren't enough of them. And also, a lot of those people who are Ivy League caliber high school students don't actually want to go to the Ivy League. Many of them will go to Stanford, will go to Duke, they'll go to their local state university because they're going to get a scholarship or awesome academic related aid. And so there are a lot of reasons why the pool is very small of people who are at a high enough level athletically and academically to go to the Ivy League. So you can't field a football team in the Ivy League that will compete at the Division One level that won't get injured when playing against the other Division One teams without being able to open the pool up to student athletes who are at a slightly lower academic standard in high school. And that goes across for most sports. I mean, there are some sports, cross country is probably one of them, where you could field a very high level Division One team with all kids who have those really high true Ivy League academic credentials without any help from a support slot. But most sports, you're going to need to be able to broaden the pool to be competitive at a Division One level. From this point, where now there's an official number target that the athletic department, all recruited student athletes have to hit. There's an average that they all have to hit. That number is passed down from the Ivy League to the university, right? And then the university passes that number to the athletic director. And the athletic director works with their administrators and also the head coaches to determine how are they going to make that average of all recruited student athletes work while also trying to win at their sports. So every athletic department decides what sports do we really care about, and we give those sports a little lower AI so they have the opportunity to go after a broader range of students, not just the super high ones. And then some of the sports that they're maybe less interested in trying to win at, they're going to give a higher AI. Just like across all sports at one university, the average AI is going to be different. Likewise, within a sport across the Ivy League, the average AI could be dramatically different. And we've seen that from my experience Cornell and Columbia are typically able to get in track and field athletes that a lot of the other Ivy League schools can't get in. Now, part of that might be just because there's more focus on track and field there, so their AI average is a little bit lower. But part of it might just be that the AI across the department is a little bit lower. But this is a good reminder that you don't know exactly what the AI at each Ivy League school is. So that's why you want to keep the door open. You want to keep as many of those doors open as possible because while Harvard might tell you there's no way you can get in here, Columbia may say, oh, yeah, you're in our range, right? Or Dartmouth may say, no, sorry, absolutely not. We can't get you in here. We can't get an AI that low in. Cornell may be able to. So, just to backtrack a little bit, once the university's AI is determined, and then therefore the average AI of the recruited student athletes is determined, the athletic director decides one, how many support slots each sport within their department is going to get, and then what the average AI for that entire team is going to be. And from that point, the coaches of that team now need to have a juggling act to get not only the best student athletes they can get, but also have all of their incoming student athletes average out to meet that AI. Every athletic department is going to be doing this a little bit differently. And some of them are going to be more strict than others. But for the most part, you need to get pretty close to your average AI so the whole department can average its AI properly. But from time to time, from year to year, they may allow you a team to go a little bit lower this year because there are a couple extra great student athletes who are there that are a little bit lower academically. But they may ask for a promise for you to increase your AI for the following year to level things out. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but more or less that's how the system works. To think about this from the track and field coach's perspective, if the track and field team's average AI target is 220, and if they have 30 recruiting slots between men and women, then theoretically you could have 15 240s and 15 200s, and that would average out to 220. But in that case, I say theoretically because admissions is heavily involved or is the main player in determining who is admitted into the university. And so they may not want to admit some of those 200 AIs. So even though that coach may have a group of 30 athletes and they have 30 support slots and all those athletes line up to make an average AI of 220, that does not mean that admissions is going to accept all of those 200 AI student athletes. So while it does hold true that if you have a higher AI, you are helping the program and you are of higher value to the program because you're helping to raise the average AI, it doesn't mean that a 240 can automatically get in a 200. You need to both hit your AI target as a team and have all the student athletes be admitted through the admissions process.